We're going to go to Washington now, where President Trump is talking about openly defying the Constitution, saying he's considering running for a third term, despite the 22nd Amendment limiting a president to 2 terms. He's also ramping up his trade war. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce has the latest. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. Well, this would defy the Constitution, but this morning President Trump isn't ruling out seeking another term as president. In some of his strongest comments yet, President Trump says he's considering his options to serve a third term in office, a breach of the Constitution's 2-term limit for presidents.
I don't want to talk about it. I'm just telling you, I have had more people say, please run again. They said, we have a long way to go before we even think about that.
In a phone call with NBC, Trump saying, quote, there are methods which you could do it, including possibly urging his vice president, J.D. Vance, to run and then cede power back to Trump. The president saying that's one method, but that there are others, too. But a third term would defy the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution, which says no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. When asked to clarify, Trump doubling down, saying, I'm not joking, but then adding it is far too early to think about it. Overnight on Air Force One, Trump declining to respond when asked point blank if he's planning to leave office in 2029 and refusing to comment further on specifics. It's an idea the president and his allies have publicly toyed with for months.
I've raised a lot of money for the next race that I assume I can't use for myself, but I'm not 100% sure because I don't know. I think I'm not allowed to run again. I'm not sure. Am I allowed to run again?
Amending the Constitution to run again would require 2/3 approval by Congress and then ratification by 38 states. Democrats sounding the alarm. Congressman Dan Goldman saying this is yet another escalation in his clear effort to take over the government and dismantle our democracy. Now, this all comes as President Trump this week is poised to upend global trade, promising to unleash those sweeping reciprocal tariffs he's dubbed Wednesday Liberation Day. Now, the scope of these tariffs and how punishing they will be remains unclear, but the president overnight promised to be, quote, generous. But economists, of course, warn that American consumers will ultimately pay the price for this, that costs could rise on everything from produce to electronics to cars, of course, as Trump's 25% tariffs on all imported cars and auto parts are also set to go into effect later this week, George.
Yeah, and that is hitting markets around the world. Meantime, the president in that interview also made critical comments of Vladimir Putin.
He did, George, and this is a real change in tone from the president, voicing frustration with Putin. Trump saying he is, quote, very angry and, quote, pissed off that Putin has been criticizing Ukrainian President Zelensky's credibility, something, of course, Trump himself has also done. Now, going further, Trump says he will put more tariffs on Russian oil if they aren't able to reach a ceasefire deal, and he feels Putin is to blame. Those sanctions have proved to be little deterrence in the past, and President Trump does say that he and Putin are likely to speak sometime later this week, George.
Mary Bruce, thanks.